Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As promised, I'm bringing you guys post week 1 power rankings. And just before we get into the video, I'm going to try to give you guys my definition of what power rankings really are to me and the way that I'm going to do them this season. A lot of people seem to think power rankings is just who has the better record or whatever, blah, blah, blah. No, that's just called standings. Power rankings, in my opinion, are a measure of a team's potential and how they performed in that previous week that we're covering. So for example, this week, the way I'm going to judge them is what I think this team's ceiling is and how good they performed in the week, and winning, I guess, is part of that. But just because you beat a team doesn't mean you're going to be ranked ahead of that team. Now, without any further ado, let's get right into it. And starting in at number 1, as you can tell, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens just completely rolled the Browns this week. I think it wasn't even close. They just absolutely destroyed the Browns. The Browns kind of they didn't look solid, but we're not talking about the Browns right now. We're talking about the Ravens. I don't know if you guys saw the predictions video. I had the Ravens going 15-1, and I had them winning that game. And it turns out that I was correct. And there's not much to say here about the Ravens besides they, in my opinion, are the best team in the NFL. And maybe the next 2 teams, I think, are the only teams that can really rival them in terms of having a complete roster and overall talent. But like I said, Ravens number 1. Number 2, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. The Chiefs, if you guys watch that, the kickoff, the opener for the season, they looked impressive. They looked like they picked up right where they were last year. They were able to efficiently throw the ball when Patrick Mahomes was asked to, which he wasn't asked to throw the ball as much as he usually does, which I think is great, which shows that the Chiefs are actually maturing as a team and aren't just relying on the passing game. They ran the ball pretty effectively. That rookie, Clyde Edwards, he looked impressive. I was not a person that was particularly high. I thought he was going to be a talented running back, but I wasn't as high as most people. I didn't think that, he'd be as impressive. In fact, my guy, if quote unquote my guy, was Jonathan Taylor, and he probably was the 3rd best running back this week out of all the rookies that I saw. But very impressive of the Chiefs. I think that if they can continue to run the ball, it's going to make them even just that little bit more dangerous. And, always having a diverse game plan helps you out a lot in the NFL. Coming in at number 3, we have New Orleans. Now, New Orleans obviously beat Tampa Bay, and a lot of people are talking about Tampa Bay and how they're falling apart, but this is not about Tampa right now. It's about New Orleans. And let me tell you what, I was listening to a show earlier, and practically the host of the show was breaking down some film on New Orleans. And what he was talking about was that New Orleans was the way that they were able to stop Tampa Bay was by allowing the defense to double team Rob Gronkowski and Chris Godwin. And the way that they did it is knowing Mike Evans not at his full potential right now. You don't have to double team him. Just put your best corner and Marshawn Lattimore on him all game and just make Brady throw it somewhere else. Make him throw to the double team. Make him go through all of his reads. Make him look for that last option. And they were able to run these blitzes. They were able to, like I said, double Gronk and double Chris Godwin, which allowed them to do all these different things on defense. Because when you have one guy locked up, that brings it, that allows you to do more on defense. As a team, it worked out for them. On offense, they were clicking. I liked what I saw from Drew Brees. I think they played a pretty good game. That's why I have them at number 3. And coming in at number 4, I have Green Bay. Now, this one's might be a little bit more controversial. Why do you have Green Bay so high? Well, the reason I have Green Bay this high is because of how impressive I think Aaron Rodgers played this week. I really liked what I saw from Aaron Rodgers. I think he was completely unbothered by pretty much anything said over the offseason about Jordan Love. I think if anything, it motivated him like I thought it would. And he looked very impressive. The offense was clicking. And my only concerns for Green Bay are the fact that they caught a little bit of the injury bug, not as bad as another team that I'm going to get to. And the defense did look a little shook. I think they allowed a few points that they shouldn't have. But overall, they just, the offense just was clicking on all cylinders and just was able to take care of business against Minnesota. Now, number 5, I have Seattle. Now, Seattle really impressed me. I watched pretty much the entire Falcons Seahawks game. And what really impressed me the most, and what made me happy, was the fact that Pete Carroll finally decided to let Wilson just take over a game. Because it always seemed like Pete Carroll didn't quite, I don't think it's that he didn't trust him. I think it's that he tried to be like too smart, too cute, whatever you want to call it. And he tries to run the ball and it doesn't work. And at the end of the game, when they're trailing, that's when they turn to Wilson. This game, they said, no, you know what? We're not even going to try. Let's just let Wilson take over this game. And you know what? He dropped back, had 4 incompletions, I think. Looked amazing, had over 300 yards. I mean, this is what you want to see if you're Seattle, because this is the guy in Russell Wilson, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the NFL. That is right, better than Patrick Mahomes. You got to let this guy carry your team, because that is pretty much all you got on offense, in my opinion. You got Wilson, a few receivers, a really bad offensive line, and a mediocre running game. And that is your team on offense. And I'm just going to briefly talk about the defense. I think Jamal Adams looked very good in his debut with Seattle. And I don't know if you watched the game or not, but looking back at it, one thing that Seattle did very effectively against the Falcons, which really hurt him, was running these little stunts, these blitzes, and all these different things to confuse the pass protection for Atlanta. They were able to bring down Jamal Adams into the box, blitz him, blitz the linebackers, run these stunts on the defensive line, so all these little things was what really won the game on defense for Seattle. So if you're an opposing team and you're going to play Seattle like the Patriots this week, which I think Bill will do a way better job of, is picking up on those little stunts, picking up on those blitzes, and forcing Seattle's defensive line to actually create pressure, because I wasn't very impressed with the D-line, but I was impressed with everyone else on the defensive side of the ball. Now, going on to number 6, I have San Francisco. Now, I think San Francisco's potential is up there with the top 3 teams that I have. I think it's higher than Seattle, and I think it's higher than the Packers. But my issue here is that they've caught the injury bug. I mean, Rich Sherman on the IR. They're missing 2 receivers. George Kittle might not play this week, amongst other injuries on the offensive line, etc. And I think right now, San Francisco is catching a break because they caught it early, which is where I think their easier part of the schedule is. I mean, they play the Jets this week, and then they play, I'm pretty sure it's the Giants. But right now at the beginning of the season, San Francisco is going to be injured, and I'm not sure what to think about it. Jimmy G didn't look very good against Arizona. He was missing throws, and he looked very inaccurate. But one thing that did strike me as a positive was that the D-line still looked very good. They didn't create sacks, and that's because of the quarterback they faced in Kyler Murray. And they were just so gassed that they weren't able to, actually bring him down. But they did force Murray to run. They did force Murray out of the pocket. They made him do other things besides just sit there and throw dimes. I'm not super worried about San Francisco yet. If they were to lose to the Jets, which I don't think they will, then I'd be really worried. But other than that, don't worry about San Francisco. They'll be fine. And that's why I got them at number 6, because I think their potential is up there with the top 3 teams in the NFL. I mean, in my power rankings. And at number 7, I got the Bills. Now, the Bills, if you guys watched that Jets game, it was awful. That was an awful game. I'm pretty sure the only people that actually watched that game were Bills fans. Even the Jets fans probably left after the after the first half. And not much to say here. The Bills looking very good. The only one thing I'm going to say is that Josh Allen is going to be the team's key to success, and whether or not they're going to make a deep playoff run. Now, at number 8, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers looked very good against a very bad Giants team. Not much to say here. Ben Roethlisberger looked like had some vintage Ben moments, and I think they were rolling, and this defense is going to be scary. That's why I got them at number 8. Now, number 9, I got the Rams. The Rams, they looked very good. They looked pretty good. There was that flop from Jalen Ramsey, which I'm not going to talk about, but the Rams looked good. I think at number 9 is a solid spot for them. I think they have the potential to maybe move up a few spots, but I think this is where I see the Rams most of the season. If you saw my predictions video /reactions to week 1, I had the Rams missing the playoffs, but I think that they're a team that could come in. I mean, I had them at 10-6. So yeah. Now number 10, I have the Titans. The Titans looked good besides the kicking. If Gostkowski hit most of those field goals, then that game would have not been close. The Broncos would have not had a chance at the end to come back and get that win. But they were able to pull it out. Gostkowski redeemed himself with that game-winning field goal, and I think the Titans at 10 is fine. I don't think they'll stay at 10. They might fluctuate up and down. I think 10's probably their cap. This is a team, in my opinion, where we've seen their ceiling. We saw it last year, and Jadeveon was a nice addition, but I don't think it does too much besides just add a disruptor more than anything. Now, at number 11, I got Tampa Bay. Not much to worry about here. Don't worry about Tampa. I talked about it in my previous video. Don't worry about Tampa. They are going to be fine. Brady threw those 2 ugly picks, and that's pretty much it. If you really look at the game, if Brady didn't throw those 2 picks, then Tampa probably had a chance to win that game. But don't worry about Tampa. They'll be fine. They're a team with a lot of potential. Just didn't perform this week. That's why they're at 11. Number 12, I'm going to talk about the Cardinals real quick before I move on to all the other teams, which I will not talk about as much. But the Cardinals looked very impressive against San Francisco. Kyler Murray looked great. It seemed like he was in control of the offense. Cliff Kingsbury completely trusted him with the offense and said, you know what? You take the reins. You carry us to a victory. And that's what he did. Kyler Murray was able to run around, buy himself some time. That offensive line for Arizona still is not looking very good. Then again, they did play a really good defensive line. However, didn't look good in my opinion. But what did look good for me was, what did look good to me was the defense for Arizona. I think Isaiah Simmons missed a few assignments, but overall looked good. I think the defensive line was a little bit better than I thought they would be, and the secondary was a little bit better than I thought it would be. Overall, they just kind of exceeded my expectations on defense, and I think in the end, that's kind of what won the game for them. Then again, they were playing a really crippled offense for the Niners, but I still liked Arizona. Props to them. That's why they're number 12. Now, the number 13, we got the Vikings. From this point on, after the Vikings, I'm not really going to talk about all the teams. I'll talk about a few, but I'll skip through some of the other teams. I'll just give you what ranking they are. But number 13, the Vikings, just really quick on them. They didn't look good on off. They looked okay on offense. The defense did not look good at all. I don't know if it's their corners. I'm not sure what it is. Their secondary kind of was lacking. That's why I got them. I have my 13, which I think is a little bit generous. But looking at from 13 on, I really don't trust the teams down here at all. 14, Philadelphia. I talked about it in my previous video. Not very happy with that performance. They fell apart in the second half. Wasn't pretty. Number 15, the Patriots. Great win against Miami. On to Seattle. Can they prove that they're the real deal or not? That's why I got them at 15. Number 16, the Cowboys. Another disappointing team. Mike McCarthy in his coaching debut with the Cowboys takes his first loss. And honestly, this is a very talented team. I've said it multiple times. This team is talented enough to be a minimum top 5 team in the NFL, top 5 roster talent, and they're just not able to bring it together for some reason. Not sure why. Number 17, we got the Colts. Now, they lost to Jacksonville, but more than anything, I think it was just a lack of preparation and a lack of ability to, in a sense, I feel like they underestimated the Jags, and they were looking decent on offense. I wouldn't say that they were rolling, but they looked okay. And it just kind of fell apart as the game went on, and Jacksonville was able to capitalize on those picks from Phillip Rivers. And I got them at 17. If they win next week, you can expect them to rise. They have a very important game coming up. The Raiders at 18, good win against Carolina. I think Carolina should actually win that game. I like where the Raiders are at 18. Number 19, Houston. A loss to the Chiefs, very good team. Not sure how I feel about Houston. I'm leaning more towards not going to make the playoffs this year. I didn't have them making the playoffs in my predictions, and I don't think they will. I think this team is very dependent on Deshaun Watson, and it's really just Deshaun Watson on the offensive side and JJ Watt on the defensive side. Other than that, their team's very lacks a lot of talent on the defensive line and the offensive line, as I've said before. Number 20, Carolina. like I said, they should have won that game. I'm not sure what what Matt Rhule was thinking with the fullback dive, but yeah, number 20 we got Carolina. Number 21 I have the Chargers. Now the Chargers I did have a little bit lower when I made these rankings, but you know what? I think the Bengals played them really tough, and I think that Tyrod looked a little shaky at times. But I like 21 for the Chargers. I'm gonna stick with it. 22 the Broncos. Now the Broncos were another team that I thought actually looked decent in their debut. Drew Lock looked, I give him a B minus, like a B minus. I think he looked okay. He missed a touchdown throw. I specifically remember him missing a touchdown pass to, I can't remember I think his Jake Butt, his tight end, and just overthrow. He had a few overthrows in that game. A little bit of some accuracy issues, but overall not bad. Number 22 for the Broncos. Number 23, I got the Browns. I had them a little bit higher, but honestly, I just don't know what to think about the Browns anymore. Just Baker, man. That was a game where Baker, I thought that, if Baker's really as good as advertised, then he should have at least tried to keep that game close. Obviously, there's tension between him, OBJ, and Kevin Stefanski. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but not too sure about how I feel about the Browns right now. I think 23 is an okay spot for them. 24, the Falcons. Pass protection is horrible from what I was able to tell against Seattle. They weren't able to run the ball. They were really dependent on Matt Ryan, just throwing him out of situations. I think went 0 for 4 on fourth down, so don't quote me on that. But I think it was 0 for 4. And number 25, we got the Lions. I think they should have beat the Bears, which is why I still have them ahead. I think the Lions are one of those teams that just beats themselves way too often. Number 26, Washington. Great game against Philadelphia. I said this team's strength was going to be on the defensive side with their front seven, and so far so good with Washington. I think, like I said, their front seven is very, very good. Do not be surprised if they finish top 10 in sacks. I have Washington at 26. 27, I have the Bengals. The Bengals, I think, played a very good game against a very talented Chargers team. And I think Joe Burrow looked very confident. It looked like he wasn't scared of the moment. He was ready for it. And I really liked what I saw from Joe Burrow. I think he was very mature, very cool, very poised. Did miss a couple throws, but what do you expect? It's his first game. And the one thing that I said about Joe Burrow coming out of the draft before I started all this podcast stuff was that he always seemed super confident in his ability, and he always seemed so poised. And he just has that confidence, which is why I thought he would be the most polished quarterback coming out of the draft this year. And he proved that against the Chargers and gave his team a chance to win. Unfortunately, did not win. Number 28, I have the Bears. Now the Bears, I think they looked awful the first three quarters. Mitch Trubisky looked awful the first three quarters. There's like a stat, he had a horrible passer rating. I think it was like below 50. And he just had a great passer rating in the fourth quarter, and was able to pull out that win. I think they probably shouldn't have won that game, but props to the Bears for giving themselves a chance, I guess. Number 29, I got the Jags. The Jags played a good game. Honestly, it's probably what kept them from 32, because if you would have told me, I probably would have had the Jags at 32 before week 1. But yeah, Jags at 29, pretty good for them. 30, I have the Dolphins. I think this is a team that's just rebuilding. It's okay. Fitzpatrick was not good, but that's okay. Tough game. 31, we got the Jets. I think the Jets, honestly, between the Jets and the Giants, which is the next two teams, I'm just going to talk about it at the same time. Jets 31, Giants 32. They looked awful. Those were the worst performances, in my opinion, aside from the Cleveland Browns of week 1. The Jets just looked horrible. I don't know. Like I was talking about earlier, I don't think even Jets fans finished that game. I really don't. And Giants fans, be disappointed that Saquon Barkley was not able to produce positive yardage. Just think about that for the second. You have one of the most talented running backs in the NFL, and he was not able to muster up positive yardage. That just shows you how horrible your offensive line is. And I mean, they put up 16. It was 16-26. The score is not indicative of how close the game actually was. The Giants clearly outmatched bottom feeder team. And if you watch my predictions video, I had them going 3 and 13, excuse me. Now, those are my rankings, guys. Next week I will update you guys, do this week to week, whatever, etc. These types of videos, I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna have stuff playing in the background. This one for sure won't have anything playing in the background. It'll just be the screen of the rankings. Apologies for that. I just am very short on time. I'm gonna try to put out the predictions video before 3 o'clock today. This video should be up by 12 p.m. Excuse me, yeah, 12 p.m. Eastern. Excuse me, not Eastern, Pacific time. Should be up by 12 Pacific time. And yeah, do you guys agree with my picks? Tell me what you guys think for my rankings. Which team should be higher, which team should be lower. As always, I appreciate you guys watching the video. Drop a like if you like the video, and subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. There will be a predictions video for week 2 coming up shortly, so do not miss out on that. As always, guys, have a great day. See you guys in the next video.